Alright guys, welcome back to the Ragnarok tournament for Age of Empires 2, and it's a deathmatch tournament organised by some of the usual names like Black Sky and Otter, and we've got a Magyar v Tartar match here. So our players trading. Do you start with some trade cards and a market somewhere? Okay. So yeah, both our players trading already. Actually, I think Harry Boy might have. Is there a market even here for? There's not one for Frosty. So Harry Boy he must have built a market to start with. Already starting on that market trade, eh? And it's a perfect 100 gold away from your town center. So if you market in line with your town center, you're going to get 100 gold. And so, Harry Boy, doing just that. Actually, no, I take it back. It's not a perfect 100. It's oh no, it's only a 25. Okay, not so good. It's because I was spectating Frosty and he didn't have a market. So in the meanwhile, Frosty started raiding Harry Boy. He's got to field paladins against camels, which is never nice because you've got to have a higher count in order to actually have a cost-effective fight. And I think he's realized that his opponent has gone for the early market, so now he's actually going to be able to try and pick off any additional trade cards that get made here. So that's not great for Harry Boy that Frost has this intel already on him. Oh, there's caravans in each corner. Okay, I didn't figure out that. Well, Frost hasn't actually started trading at all, and he wants to castle up the side that he is going to trade to start with. So I think this is quite smart from him because, you know, while it always seems so attractive to just go straight on the macro, and you know, particularly in a mode like Deathmatch where it's quite hard to actually squeeze in macro, sometimes it can be the killer because Frost is going to be able to slowly chip away at some of these trade cards. It'll be a real pain in the ass. And Harry Boy is now going to have to try and defend. Frost is streaming forward with a hefty army here. I think it might be slightly bigger. Yeah, he's up by about 15 pop at the moment. And now with a few more units camping the trade line, this is going to really hurt and force Harry Boy to have to blindly send some units to come and clean this up because he won't know how many exactly that Frost has got down here. And he's going to try and start doing a bit of a workshop and castle creep himself. And Frost in the meanwhile is free to get a fairly safe market line. In fact, he's going for the full map, so it's a full 42 gold. Sorry, it's a full 56 gold rather than just the 26 to go to your town center. So it's a lot more value to go for the full map spread than to go for the half map spread, which, I mean, Harry Boy's transitioning into now, but he's going to have to try and defend it after having lost a few caravans, and now Frost is up by quite a bit in terms of his army. Starting to get the trebs out already. And Hussars being spammed out, but this delays his own treb production by quite some time. So he's not going to have his own answer to his opponent's trebs. He'll start chipping away at these castles already. So this market line over this side has definitely been repelled, and it's going to be a bit of a short trade market here for Harry Boy, which is not great for him. He's only getting 16 gold a trip at the moment, whereas what are we seeing for Frosty, who's continuing to push forward with those Splinter-on, I mean, not Splinter-on, 63 gold, even better than I thought. Continuing to stream forward with the trebs. I said Splinter-ons, that's AoEO siege, sorry guys. But this locks up a lot of repairers for Harry Boy. Although he has a great fighting force with these heavy cav archers, and he's probably going to force Frost to have to fit in mangonels somewhere, I think. But there's not really much of a front line left for Harry Boy, and he is going to lose his first castle, and there's now 6 trebs in play. The repair is slow on the castle repair this time, so it is going to fall. And meanwhile, a bit of a raid attempt here from Harry Boy, but there's just such a mass up of markets here for Frost 9 in the middle of the base. I like this too because you know, then he just rallies them onto the market that he wants to trade to, and they'll just go back to the furthest one from it anyway. So that's the beauty of having safe markets thrown up everywhere, guys. It's a bit of a tactic that you see advanced, particularly deathmatch players, but advanced players do from time to time, but it is a little bit rare, probably outside the Age of Empires 2 deathmatch community, funnily enough. You know, I guess that's the perk of being the biggest and most established community, eh? You got the most players playing the highest level. But yeah, it's not a lot of time players in the other games actually abuse that enough. That you can safe market somewhere and then have the caravan slingshot onto the appropriate market line the next trade run anyway. Although AoE 4 is probably changing that in the sense that people sort of are figuring it out as well. A lot of the high levels there seem to know what they're doing. So Harry Boy creeping forward, but he doesn't really have anything in terms of siege at the moment, having lost those castles. I don't know what he's going to be able to do to take out the castles of Frost here. So both these players have extremely fast trading cavalry out of their castles, mind you. Oh, and while this is going on, a whole bunch of Keshiks coming in now to pressure the siege workshops here of Harry Boy on the bottom side of the map. So he's copying a bit of a bruising on one side, but he's dishing one out on the other. Though he's late on Trebs to actually try and push this down, or either Trebs or Rams or Bombard Cannons to try and actually cut through this castle, because he really could have broken into a lot of eco of Frosts here. And then meanwhile, Frost is pushing forward with a lot of Trebs. A few units just in reserve to try and get the pressure on as well. So he's denying a good market line for Harry Boy. So the full map trade versus half map, well, not even half map trade here for Harry Boy. It's really rough on his eco in the long run. He is streaming forward, putting some great pressure on him. This time he's got a Treb, so he's going to be able to slowly chip away that castle, but he probably needs 3 to 6. You know, having only 1 or 2, it just takes so bloody long, and it's too easy to try and repair through with only like 5 or 6 vills. Meanwhile, there's a good number of Halbs here to try and clean up the Keshik run by. So I do like that from Harry Boy here. Making do with what he's got, but like I said, I do think he really needs to up his Treb count, because he's even having multiple Trebs rainfire on his singular while it's trying to take out a building. So it's not going to last very long. Yeah, it will fall now, so poor old Harry Boy Sam not going to be able to take out this tower. I mean, take out this castle. And Frost continuing to creep forward. Like I said, with multiple Trebs, he's had 4 of them in the mix. I mean, he may lose them, but they've already taken out a couple of buildings apiece. And then meanwhile, while this army is being taken out, Frost is able to push the top side of the map again. And now he's in striking range of another castle, so this is really good for him. But Harry Boy seemingly has stabilized on the lower side of the map. He just needs to try and clean up the cavalry that are camping this market, because if he ever tries to go for a blind stretch of his market and just trade from here all the way to the south side, he could risk losing quite a bit. Meanwhile, he is going to be able to try and work on some of the production facilities, but he's deciding, actually stuff it. I'll try and go for some eco if I can and get through the back line. But he needs to get there, and this is a little rough. Unlike running through, say, paladins, running through halbs or running through cavalry archers isn't the greatest past the castle, and then on top of that, they're going to stick around and try and take a fight. It's not the best of time for them. A lot of villagers having to repair there for Harry Boy. So again, double Treb, really putting in the work, an absolute minimum. Single Treb is just so slow. And so this raid mostly being cleaned up, but it is still proving to be a little bit of a pest. But that is a huge number of caravans for Frost at the moment, who's pretty much maxed behind this. I think most of his eco is actually in caravans at this stage. I mean trade carts, sorry, caravans is bloody AoEO thing. So harryboysam mostly stabilizing, even with his shitty market line. So it's phenomenal that he's actually only behind as little as he is without a full market trade. But Frost will be able to work on that advantage now. Because harryboy not quite max, nearly max, but he's still about 20 pop off. He's trying to push into Frost's base at the moment. He has found a bit of a clearing here. He's really threatening Frost a little at home, but bearing in mind they're fighting under double castle. It will soon be single castle. That's a lot of heavy cavalry archers to try and clean up the halbs there. Plenty of Keshiks in reserve just to deal with the paladins when they come in. The gold mine, the market line still being camped there by Frost. Oh no, and harryboy's going to lose these 2 trebs for free, so that's a bit of a cost to him. Just waiting for the chance to go in. He's got a couple of hussars in the meanwhile. Oh, is this a proper wall off? I think it will be. But the Vils are going to go down. Oh, it's not quite a full wall off actually. So Frost is now in Harry's space. They are fighting under a castle though, so this isn't the best of trades for Frost. He is ultimately going to have to back off there. But there is a ram chipping away at the other castle in the meanwhile, so it's been a good bait. But those heavy cavalry archers will be able to take that out eventually. And now, only now, harryboysam has been able to reclaim his full market trade over his side of the map. And I don't know how long he's going to be able to hold on to it for, because Frost is continuing to push and now threatening the castle supporting that side once again. Over on the top side, continuing to pressure the other castle of harryboy. He's doing well without having his front line engaged, but he is ultimately going to have to back off slightly now that he is being engaged merely V-ranged. Oh, harryboy taking a great fight there. Oh, so harryboy seemingly winning fights on both sides of the map now and still hasn't actually got access to that full trade. Down by less than 1,000 score at the moment, which is really impressive despite, well, considering the trade disparity. Now Frost might be looking at going in for the kill now. Castle's only going to be able to do so much damage. In the meantime, a lot of those villages have been picked off, so they're not going to be able to repair the castle through all this so easily. A couple of onagers there into support, but neither player really wants to commit to the fight because they know how damaging it can be if those shots go wayward. It's like unpatched widow mines onagers, man. They're great. Like, they just do so much area damage. So harryboysam forced to have to try and take fights under another one of his castles. Oh, and in the meantime, Frost has actually cleaned up everything over on this bottom side and taken out that castle, so there's no chance of getting full market trade now. And this time, GG. Frost takes the game. He's up 2-0 in the series now.